Madeline Pawloski's inspiration to write a children's book on organ donation was sparked during a long, soulful bike ride. As an occupational therapist, Madeline was first introduced to the world of organ donation while caring for young heart transplant recipients at a children's hospital in Omaha, Nebraska.
This is where I felt like my OT background and my donation experience just kind of collided, and it honestly just kind of happened. We were working one donation case when I was working for the OPO, and the donor was a dad. He had two younger children, one who was old enough to know what was going on, and one who understood the basics but didn't quite grasp everything going on. And our family services coordinators did a phenomenal job with this family. They had a huge extended family, talking everyone through things in appropriate ways for their age and their background and everything like that. But every morning when the mom and the sons would come back to the hospital, the mom would come over and say, I have some more questions. So-and-so, asked this last night. What's an appropriate way to talk about this and discuss it? And again, our team did a great job giving them all the handouts and, materials they had, but there's really, at least that I found, there's really not a lot of written materials for children on the donation side of things as far as illustrated books. There's a ton on transplant and a ton on other medical diagnoses and things like that, but the donation side is definitely lacking. So that experience kind of just sparked in my brain. I'm like, we need more materials like this. One, to help children when they're in that situation, whether their family member is a donor or their family member is a transplant recipient. But then also, the first time a child hears about donation shouldn't be when their family member is donating. That's as normal as anything else we talk about, right? So ideally with this book, introducing it just as this is just part of children's literature. It's in, children's hospitals, adult hospitals, schools, libraries. It's just something we pick up and we talk about in normal language, normal everyday things that, these are heroes. This is a good thing. This is something people choose to do. So that way, if and when someone encounters that at whatever stage of life, it's like, oh, I've heard about this before. What a wonderful, amazing thing. And then you can answer all the questions, but at least there's some kind of background knowledge of like, oh, I've heard that before or something like that. So we'll see where it goes, but that's kind of the dream right now. Working with that population was my first kind of introduction to transplantation and donation. And then I also worked generally in the ICU at the Children's Hospital as well. So they weren't my patients, but was also exposed to the donation side of things. So as I just kind of learned more about the donation process, kind of after the pandemic, just wanted to expand my horizons a little bit and kind of look. I still work at the hospital, but I also wanted to kind of get more involved in the donation side. So I actually worked for the organ procurement organization in Nebraska for about a year in 2022. And I was a hospital liaison or a donation services specialist. So I was the hospital liaison for the Children's Hospital and then for some of the other hospitals in the region as well, and then got more exposed to the donation side. And I have since moved on. A great opportunity came and I couldn't pass it up, but just kind of thinking of my experiences in the donation world and kind of setting it up so, if this matriarchal figure passes at some point and becomes a donor, right, they've already had this conversation of all the wonderful things that she can do even after she passes to help others. So again, kind of setting up that positive just picture around donation, like, oh, what a wonderful thing that someone can do. So the illustrator and I talked a lot about the characters and kind of what ages to make them, especially just with donation. And obviously around such a sensitive topic of death and dying, I didn't want to make it too harsh for such a young age. So just thought a very natural conversation between kind of a grandmother figure and maybe a grandchild walking through the park, having a casual conversation about something that should be such a common topic, right? I want to give a shout out to the illustrator for this book, Bob Lawson. So he is one of my brother's good friends. I've known him since I was probably in 6th grade, which was a while ago. And he now has his own marketing and graphic design company and illustrates his own books as well, writes and illustrates his own books, which his books are more kind of, they're children's books, but funny and very kind of playful and cheerful. So this was a more serious topic than he's illustrated before. But I think the illustrations really made the story come to life. So I do have to thank him.
Madeline's touching children's book is dedicated to her 7 nieces and nephews. This includes Owen, who was born around a week before the gift was published.
So I created Mountain Dog Creations LLC. I do have a couple more books in the works, not necessarily with the medical background that this one does, but so hopefully there will be more publications in the future. I have a Bernese Mountain Dog. That's where the Mountain Dog Creations came from. I'm hoping for a lot of future adventures with the company. And so our next book, I'm actually working on it with my husband's cousin is illustrating it. She's a phenomenal artist. And it's about actually a dog, just kind of a feel-good story about a Bernese Mountain Dog who wants to be known for more than her good looks. And I won't spill too much, but yeah, just another kind of fun read for kids.